Mahatma Gandhi lived as a pillar of truth and peace for all humankind. From his humble childhood in India to his legal education abroad and activism against discrimination in South Africa, to winning a standoff with the mightiest empire in the world without ever lifting a finger, Gandhi has stood as a savior for billions of people. But more importantly, his work has served as an inspiration. His actions brought about a new way of life for the world. Minimal possessions, focusing on bettering who we are as people, and a selfless goal of living for other people rather than oneself. Though he may have left the world in a cruel way, as he himself said, 1,000 Gandhis will one day rise from his ashes. And it was in pursuit of this goal that the Eternal Gandhi Museum Houston was founded. The only museum of its kind in all of North America, EGMH was founded with the mission of not only preserving the life and times from Gandhi, but also showcasing the people who came after him. Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, Wilma Mankiller, Malala Yousafzai, all people who were inspired by Gandhi's mission of nonviolence and channeling it to stand against injustices that continue to plague the world to this day.
Namaste, my name is Atul Kothari. I'm a co-founder and trustee of the museum. We really didn't start out on museum to begin with. So back in 2002, when I first read the autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi, it just went straight to my heart and gave me the rule by which I must live my life, which is practice your truth non-violently. Our initial objective was that only if 4 children wrote an essay on Mahatma Gandhi, then we will consider ourselves to be happy and successful. But starting from that humble beginnings, with God's grace, Houston is now home to the first ever Eternal Gandhi Museum in all of the United States, in Western Hemisphere, as some people have told us. And then we came in touch with the Eternal Gandhi Museum Delhi, and we learned a lot about how they had created the museum in Delhi, and that was our inspiration. We are very fortunate to have an extremely capable board which put in full time into the museum and got started. Our museum mission is very simple: a world where conflicts are settled non-violently. And we want to achieve this vision through the mission of promoting universal values of truth, non-violence, peace, love and service. So we hope we are a very successful museum, and we are around for a long time to hope we can spread a small message of peace in the society to make it a better place to live in.
We want to promote his values of peace, truth, nonviolence, service, and love. And that was the whole purpose and our mission of this museum. Personally, to practice this on a daily basis, at work, with my family, with my kids, with my friends, that is my goal, to start the changes within myself, so then we can make broader changes in the environment.
So it's interesting. I would actually say that many of my core values and beliefs have been shaped by Mahatma Gandhi. One of the core ones obviously is nonviolence, but I think it's interesting. I think nonviolence applies to so many aspects of our society, beyond just not fighting someone day to day, right? I think obviously back when India was trying to gain independence from British rule, maybe direct, not fighting with arms or with weapons, I think was the direct implication. But I think in today's society, I've tried to extend that to this idea of kindness, right? Can we be kind to people around us? Can we, even when I'm having an argument with someone or discussing with someone, can I really be open-minded and understand where are they coming from, right? And just being curious about, hey, we may have a difference of opinion. Let's try to talk and come together and understand that.
When you look at people like Gandhi, you think, gosh, that's great what he did, look what he did, but I could never do anything like that. How do people arrive at that point? So then I get to thinking, well, I've had a real good life, and I know some people around me that I see people that need some guidance, need some help, need the kind of guidance and support that I got when I was growing up. And so I decided just to do what I can, starting out somewhere, do what I can to maybe help somebody else.
And I pretty much feel the same way, and that no, I can't be a world leader, but I can do a little bit. And if everybody does a little bit, change will happen.
One of the things I was told by a mentor was to not just be a pastor of your church, but a pastor of your community. And so I've always taken that very seriously, that the community is part of my responsibility to shepherd and encourage. So I find it a great joy to bring people together from multiple faiths and work together for positive change and outcomes in our youth, in our society, in our education. So it's really important for me that we use the spotlight and the calling that God has placed in our life for making a positive impact in the life around us. My personal philosophy of that is, I don't want my name on anything, but I like my fingerprints everywhere.
I really feel that we all need to be change agents in our community. There's a lot of voices out there that seek to tear us apart and tell us that we're different, and there's fear of the other, the other religion, the other background, that we in the interfaith community particularly, need to stand up and say that that's wrong, and we need to take more of an approach like Gandhi took, where he embraced people of all faiths.
Well, I have the just the luxury, the gift of working in interfaith ministries for Greater Houston, the most diverse city in the United States. So I'm constantly on different sides of issues of theology of the world, really, because one day I might be in a Sikh Gurdwara and the next day I'm in the co-cathedral downtown. So getting to be in such a diverse setting and hearing diverse conversations, just getting to be a part of the rich culture of this city is just such a beautiful thing. And I think that's important, to embrace diversity, embrace the spectrum of culture, of worldviews in particular. And in my journey, trying to listen for that distinction in perspectives and worldviews, knowing, recognizing that I am in one place, in one time, in the trajectory of history, and everything I bring to this point is mine alone, and it's important to hear everyone else's journey to understand the full, just the full body of where we are right now, and to understand. And that's where healing begins, is when you can truly have empathy, and empathy only comes through understanding everyone else's journey that's brought them to this moment.
To say that Gandhi was and remains a role model for anyone seeking personal growth truly understates the case. Gandhi's ability to put aside his ego, to show hope for a better world, and to inspire collective action for meaningful change remains relevant today in a world that has seen no shortage of conflicts. So I look up to Gandhi because of the way he practiced what we now call servant leadership. Gandhi knew and believed that despite the evils that he and 1,000 others experienced, we humans have boundless potential for good. He inspired a nation, and in the process also he inspired the future leaders and fighters for social justice.
It's a really interesting story. This was years ago. I was watching something on TV, and there was this gentleman being interviewed in Chicago, and he had begun to work with youngsters related to schools and their homes and programs and things like that. And because he could see that he had gone to school growing up and had participated in school activities and had become educated and had a job, a good job. And he wanted to do what he could to help children who are not so well equipped, students and children who really don't have a family supporting them, but he knew where they'd end up if somebody didn't. So the interviewer asked him, said at the end of the discussion, said, well, don't you feel like this is what you're doing? You're one guy, but don't you feel like you're just trying to empty the lake with a spoon? And he says, yes, sir. He says, very often it feels like that, but if everybody would pick up a spoon, we'd move a lot of water. And I remember that was years ago. I mean, it's probably 30 or 40 years ago, and I still remember that today. And if I can help one person with English, or I'm mentoring a couple of women and through an organization on how to deal with resumes and jobs and how to determine skills and talents and accomplishments and things like that. And if we just all pick up a spoon, I'm trying to move some water.
Well, certainly Gandhi is one of the people that I look up to. I didn't know as much about him as I did, of course, about Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and so forth, that had been agents of nonviolent resistance. I've made a trip to the Holy Land a few years ago, and I have friends in Israel and Palestine. And when I left there in 2011, my comment to some of the people on the trip with me and my pastor was that they really need a Gandhi. They need someone like him to step up and advocate for nonviolence on both the Palestinian and on the Israeli Jewish side, that they can embrace nonviolence and work out their differences. Right now, with the violence is escalating, and as you tape this, 29,000 people have been killed in Gaza from the problems with the Israeli Hamas conflict there, and it's sad. They need to stand down and just embrace nonviolence in the spirit that Gandhi had, and I see that it's even more stark to me now after going through the museum and seeing the exhibits and reflecting on that.
I think someone who I've always looked up to, being involved in Arya Samaj Greater Houston for 20 years now, has been Devendra Mahajanuncle, who was one of the founders of Arya Samaj Greater Houston. I think I look up to him in the sense of, similar to Gandhi, I believe that he's someone who is relentless in his efforts. When he has a belief in something, he's relentless in giving back to the community, right? And so whether it be founding Arya Samaj or serving different communities, or just selflessly giving back to the community to support, all the way to in India, right? When there was, supporting, creating an orphanage there for when there were tsunamis in India, right? Jeevan Prabhat. I believe Devendra Mahajanuncle has been the epitome of someone who has been selfless, and once he comes up with an idea of what he wants to do, he goes after it like no one else. And so that conviction, I think, is something that I would love to mimic and learn from, and I've constantly been inspired by. And I see myself applying that same conviction to reducing maybe wastage or resources and maybe conserving our planet in the future.
It's always been my mother, it's always been my father, but truly my mother, because that's how I learned to be a kind person, a caring person, a person that goes and does good in the community and that participates. She's the one that really kind of put me on that path. I guess I saw it more so in the way in which she dealt with people when I was with her. She was the kind of person that would really focus on someone. She was always giving someone something in a basket, some food or clothing, even though we might not have had everything. She always instilled in me the concept of sharing. And so that was a part of it. I always saw her spending time with people and talking to them about something that they may have had a problem with. She was kind of like the grandmother in the neighborhood, and people would come and sit in the yard, and quite often it was people that were hurting. And so she was very concerned about people that had mental illness or had some type of poverty in their life, even though there were times when I wanted to keep something and she'd go, no, this person could use it more, you have enough. And so at the time I didn't particularly care for it, but I understood. And so it's sort of the concept of giving, and that's what I think I do that is translated over to me.
Actually, my father. He was a quiet man. He was a country doctor, and he was quiet and shy. He had a stutter. He had difficulties as a young boy. He was not from a privileged background, and Becoming a doctor, he was completely fulfilled what he could give to the world, and he enjoyed it, and all of his, the whole mountaintop.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I have never been someone who loved museums. I used to actually, I would avoid going to museums whenever my friends would say, let's go to the history of natural science. But when I came here, I was blown away by how different this museum is, right? The interactiveness of it, the color of it. I mean, there's so much color around you. There's so much life around. It almost feels like you are, really like watching from afar, like a movie of Gandhi as you walk through the museum, right? Or you're almost experiencing his life. And everything from the visuals to the colors to the videos and to the speeches or the small audio clips. I think it really immerses you in the museum and into the life of Gandhi and what he was really thinking in that moment.
He's done a great job. It's beautiful. It's very well put together. It's very balanced. I love that you've added more activists. It really helps to, I think, broaden Gandhi's contributions.
I would say that coming here is a spiritual experience, and that I believe that it'll touch your heart in ways that maybe you haven't allowed it to be touched recently. And I believe that all of us need that introspection, that ability to think and become self-aware. And by taking an hour or 2 hours out of your time to walk through this museum, I think will allow you to grow in a way that it will challenge you. And I think it's a positive challenge. It's a one that will lead to good things. And so I highly recommend you to visit. And please don't wait long, because you're going to love it.
There's a lot here. There's a great deal of learning about stuff and people and what they accomplished and what we still need to accomplish, especially now. And it's a very nice museum.
I would encourage everyone to visit this museum to deepen their knowledge about the life of Mahatma Gandhi and about his lifelong health commitment for nonviolence. This was a commitment from which he never wavered throughout his life. And this is a very inspiring place that reminds us that acting from a place of love, recognizing the humanity of others is incredibly important. So I would say come and come often, so you are inspired, you are moved, and you consider how you are contributing.
In Houston, being the most diverse city in the United States, it is completely appropriate that we would have the Gandhi Museum here. A man who, again, transcends culture, transcends time, who spent time in so many different countries, so many different continents, that you have the whole world in Houston and you have the whole world here at the Gandhi Museum embodied in the life and work of one man.
I was born in Porbandar, the city in which Mahatma Gandhi was born. When I was less than 1 year old, we moved to Ahmedabad, the city where Sabarmati Ashram is situated, and I was raised right around that. In fact, for 1 year, my school bus used to go by the Gandhi Ashram, and the conductor used to ring the bell saying Gandhi Ashram. I'd look around and say, yeah, he got us the independence, but I knew little or nothing about him. Then I came to the United States, and I met in 2002. First time I read his autobiography, and his message of practice your truth non-violently went straight to my heart. And from there, what it has become today, I can't thank Almighty enough. I hope every visitor who comes to the museum gets the message of non-violent conflict resolution and tries to emulate it to the best of his ability. It is difficult to practice, so it's not going to be easy. There'll be failures, but we get up again and try again and keep trying until we get it right.
If one comes to the Eternal Gandhi Museum Houston, they will find that the museum not only teaches them about the life of Gandhi, but also encourages them to become their own symbol of Gandhi. One does not need to be as world-changing as Gandhi, but they do need to live by his example of self-service and apply that in the boundaries they are given. In fact, many people have already met a Gandhi-like presence in their lives, even if they don't know it. We are all inspired by people and look up to them. And we at the Eternal Gandhi Museum Houston believe it is essential for everyone who comes through these doors to be that presence in the lives of others. Though it has been over 75 years since Gandhi's passing, there is still work to be done in the world. Economic disparities are enforced even in the wealthiest of countries. Wars are still being fought, including some that threaten to break the era of peace that Gandhi helped initiate. Discrimination between race, gender, romantic orientation, and religion is still enforced throughout the world. We might not be able to stop it, but we can be the change to help stop it by working together in the spirit of nonviolent resistance. For anyone who comes to the Eternal Gandhi Museum Houston, we hope you can find that inspiration through Gandhi's own life to become someone who will inspire change the way he did, beginning with yourselves. As we like to say, go to Space Center Houston to explore our outer space. Come to EGMH to explore your inner space.
It's the first of its kind in the United States. You know that Gandhi himself never visited the United States. He was often invited here. He never could make it because he was so deeply involved in the struggle and the battle in India. So now that there is this Gandhi Museum which brings him to life, it is a major event, so I wanted to see what this museum was like. We all speak of the world coming together because of various things, technology. People know about other parts of the world far more easily than they used to even 10, 20 years ago. But at the same time, we also know that although technically the world can be compressed very easily, the world is far more divided today than it was some years ago. There is a tremendous need to see the commonness of our humanity. That in Latin America, Africa, Middle East, East Asia, West Asia, Europe, India, United States, that we are essentially all the same underneath. And I think if the young people today can be reminded of the oneness, similarity amongst us all, it will be a fantastic blessing.